You're listening to the Focused and Fearless podcast. I'm your host, Heather Angel, and I've been helping people tune into what lights them up and increase their personal and professional performance for over a decade. Now I'm best known as a high-performance coach helping entrepreneurs like you cut through the noise and create a business and life on your terms. If you're ready to step out of struggle and discover how simple it can be to create a fulfilling, joyful, and successful business without all the overwhelm and long hours, you're in the right place.
Hello, my beautiful ones. I cannot wait for you to listen to this episode because it is a case study episode with the beautiful Camilla, who is the founder of Mama Method, along with her business partner, Keziah. Now, I met Camilla at the beginning of the year and we started working together privately. Her and Keziah worked with me on a complete strategy session, planning out all their launches, what they were going to do, how they were going to market the program, their messaging, all that really fun stuff that you need to figure out if you are going to launch an online business. And of course, as and when we did that, lockdown came into force. So not only was this taking their business from, oh, wouldn't it be nice to take it online, to we have to take it online, there is no other way of running our business, but they have grown the business. They've just come out of their first 5-figure launch, which is just incredible. And they have launched the same program 4 times this year already. And they now have a second wildly successful program called Fem Method. So I'm going to put all the links in the show notes to all of their Instagram, social media, their website, their amazing freebies, their YouTube videos. They are a real powerhouse of a business, and they've done it all during 2020. So dive in, listen, there is some pure gold in here because it wasn't easy. Okay, I'm going to tell you now, it wasn't easy. They had a lot to learn, loads of challenges to overcome, but they did it. They were consistent, they put in the effort, and the results speak for themselves. So enjoy the episode. Welcome everyone to another episode where I get to interview one of the most amazing entrepreneurs who is also part of my Focused and Fearless membership. And I want to welcome Camilla to the call. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much.
I cannot wait to dive into your story. I've already done an intro telling people how amazing you are. So I'm going to hand it straight over to you to just let people know who you are, who you help, and how you help them.
Sure. So I own a company called Mama Method, and Mama Method is a postnatal fitness company. We've sort of evolved from being just a baby wearing fitness company to now being an all-round postnatal fitness program. But we work with really new mothers who have recently been cleared to exercise and are looking to strengthen and tone their bodies again, but safely and effectively. So we have a program that really guides them through that whole process. And at the end of the program, they feel a lot stronger and kind of ready to tackle the world, really, is what we like to say.
Definitely. And it's so needed. So when you say, they're sort of being given clearance, like what stage of postnatal fitness are they normally at? Like how old are their babies?
Yeah, so it really ranges. We say you have to be at least 6 weeks because that's when you typically are cleared to exercise. But I would say the average mom who joins us is usually around 4 to 6 months is kind of the range when they join us. So their babies are 4 to 6 months. Because that's really the point, especially right now when they're feeling like they want to get back into exercise. They've been looking on, YouTube or whatever, and they just can't seem to find any workouts that are tailored for their bodies. And they know they need to be safe, but they want to find something that's challenging. And that's what we kind of offer. We just make sure that all the workouts are actually challenging, but we're going to make sure that they're not doing any damage and where they're safely healing their body at the same time.
And I think that's so amazing because, obviously we've worked together all year, and I said to you, I would have loved for something like this to be available when I'd had my kids, because I just was like, oh, I'll go back to the gym and do HIIT classes and do all this stuff. And it really didn't help me.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. And that's exactly why we created it, because I have a partner, Keziah, and we were both straight out of having babies. We met in a baby class, and we were both saying, I just wish something existed that we could do and, work on strengthening our body, but we could bring our babies with us. And so that's exactly how it happened. My baby was 6 weeks when I met Keziah, and hers was 3 months. And we really just started to develop a program and developed classes. We're both Pilates instructors, but we love barre. So we kind of combined the two. And we would wear a baby in a carrier. And that's where Mama Method started. And then we just grew from there. We started doing live classes, and then now we're online. So that's kind of the evolution and why we created it, because we know we wanted something selfishly for ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, but that's usually the catalyst, isn't it, for so many businesses? You're kind of like, there's something missing in the market, and you're like, I can fix this. Like, there's something that you can do. So you said you started off with live classes, because obviously this year has been the year when people are all of a sudden realizing that businesses taking their business online is one of the best ways to help more people and actually keep your business going. So how did it actually start? When you said you were doing live classes, was that in studios or actually in person?
Yeah, and it was in studios and in person. So we had classes all over London. We're based in London. So we would class in different studios, and we would kind of be running around the city with our babies and doing the class here and doing the class there. But we wanted to make sure it was available to all different women all over the city. And so we were expanding quite a bit. We had hired teachers to teach the classes as well. And it was all going really well. And then, of course, like you said, lockdown happened. And we had already wanted to take it online. So we actually had already filmed a bunch of videos, and we had a structure, a very vague structure in place of what we wanted our program online would look like. But we just hadn't gotten our act together. We hadn't launched anything. We didn't really know what we were doing. So when lockdown happened, we knew we had to just get a little fire lit under our bums and just actually launch it, because we had no other options. So we weren't doing Zoom classes prior to that. We weren't doing anything online. We'd never done an Instagram live. We'd never really been that much on social, a little bit, but we just literally pivoted completely 180 degrees and started going the other direction. And we launched our program, I would say, I think it was like 3 weeks after lockdown happened. We launched the program, and we started doing all our Zoom classes right away. And we just really, really focused on online. And what's amazing is that we actually are likely not going to go back to live classes now, because online has been so successful, and we realize we can actually impact so many more women all around the world with an online program. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Absolutely. And I'd love to have you sort of talk through the process of, because I know we started working, I think it was just before lockdown hit. Like, COVID was a thing, but we didn't realize how much of a thing it was going to be. And you say you launched, and you've launched several times this year now as well, and we'll definitely go into all of that a bit later. But how did you find the process of going, right, hey, we've got actually a successful business, and now we need to completely pivot and learn a whole new way of running it and reaching people?
Well, thanks to you. You were incredibly helpful. I think you and I, we started working together, was February, March, or January or February is when we first had a really big strategy call to go through everything. Because Keziah and I knew that we didn't know what we were doing. We wanted someone to sort of give us a little bit of structure to say, okay, this is a good way to structure not just your program, but how to launch it and what you should do, because we really didn't know any of that. So once we had the call, we kind of had a little bit of a plan in place, but I think we still kept on like putting it off and not quite doing it because we had so many other things going on. But then as soon as, lockdown happened, we knew that by doing kind of a challenge is what you had suggested. And we knew that seemed like the right fit for what we were doing, but to do a challenge so people could get a taste of what it would be like in our classes online was really the best way to go about launching the program. And it's exactly what we did. We did a little challenge. They could do free videos. We were cheering them on in a Facebook group, and then we opened the card at the end of the 5-day challenge, and it was excellent. It worked so well for us, and we started right away with our very first program. I think we had 55 women sign up, and yes, a lot of them were our previous clients, which was really helpful for us. We already had, a warm audience, but it just gave us that hope and that knowledge that we were onto something. And then of course, once they started going through the program and started really seeing results and loving it, that's when we really knew that it was something that we should continue. I think it gave us that confidence to then obviously launch it 3 more times since March, which is a bit nuts now thinking about it. But every time just tweaking little things, but always doing the challenge launch and just growing it and growing it and growing it. And it's been amazing. And I think we've had about 200 women go through it now, which is awesome. Yeah.
Amazing. It's so incredible. And I think there's probably people listening going, well, that's amazing. You had an established business already. What do you think was, you said that there was a bit of a hesitation, sort of you had a strategy, and I think you're right. I think actually it was January we had that call and you had the plan in place. What was the things holding you back? Because that's so often, people listen to this and go, that's amazing, but I'm still stuck. Like, I'm still scared.
I know. And we even had professional videos filmed, which we absolutely didn't even need. We just knew that by booking a videographer in December, so way before any lockdown happened, it would force us to film videos because we were so nervous about that. We didn't know what we were doing. We'd never done it before. We thought at least if we had them professional and someone telling us a little bit like where to stand and what to do and get the microphones, because those all seemed to be little things that really held us back, and lighting and things that now I know don't really matter, but at the time it was such a big deal to us. It really helped us get at least a structure in place and forced us to kind of plan a little bit. So that was really useful for at least us to at least get those videos done. But I think what was really holding us back is just A, we were scared. We didn't know what we were doing. B, it was like, who's going to really buy this? And then also like pricing, things that we knew we could tweak, or now I know could be tweaked later on. But those are the big ones that we thought, I don't know how to price this. Who's going to buy it? How are we going to lay it all out? The software seems really overwhelming. What am I going to put in all the different sections? All those little things that I think the lockdown just forced us to do it, and we didn't have time to think about it anymore. We just thought, if we don't do this, we don't have a business. So that was really useful for us because we just literally were like, okay, we have spelling mistakes. Let's just go for it. So I think it just forced us to pivot. And otherwise, I think we probably would have just kept delaying it and delaying it. I don't know.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because, obviously this year has been incredibly challenging, but it's actually opened a lot of doors and created a lot of opportunity. And your business is a perfect example of that, where actually you've had the strength of mind to go, yeah, we were kind of thinking about doing this anyway, but now people need it. And, we were all stuck indoors, couldn't go to the gym. We were allowed our one bit of outdoor exercise a day. Looking back now, it was quite an extreme situation. So, and for mums, I can only even imagine, a 4 or 5 month old baby at home, and you're just like, I'm stuck in the house.
That's exactly. And that's one of the reasons that we really wanted to. It wasn't necessarily, oh, we can make money out of this, because we really didn't know if it was going to be successful, which is also scary. You're investing in software to use the platform and things like that. But it was really, we needed to just help these women who were all of a sudden everything that they were doing, that whole postnatal phase. It's so important to be able to have a community. It's so important to be able to talk to other moms. All of a sudden that was taken away from them, and they were by themselves with their newborns. And it's really stressful. So we really wanted to offer something, which is what Mama Method, our Stronger After Baby program. It's not just, an online fitness. It's really the community and the accountability. And we have experts that come and talk to them about, postnatal health and their various pain within their body, with a physiotherapist and a nutritionist, and all these different elements that they might have been able to access before lockdown, but now they likely can't. So we're able to bring that to them virtually, so we can get their questions answered. And also selfishly, the things that we never had, even when it wasn't lockdown. As a new mom, I never saw a pelvic health physio, and now I know way more than I ever knew after my 2 children about all of that. And I think, we wanted to be able to say, hey, you know what, you don't have to struggle, and there's things you can do to help heal your body. So yeah, that's what our kind of goal with it all became.
Absolutely. And it shines through in your messaging, like watching these these other 3 launches you've done after your initial one. I'd love for you to share with the listeners that process, like this year, 4 launches. I mean, firstly, I just want people to realize 4 launches. Okay. And this is just in this part of the business. So there's been other stuff going on as well, but 4 launches. This wasn't you kind of launching once and going, okay, great, and then just sitting back. So how did you find the other launches after riding high after the first one? How are the following 3?
Yeah, so it's an 8-week program. So we knew we always wanted to time the next one right after, so we could keep generating revenue and keep bringing in more clients. But we didn't realize what we were taking on by saying, okay, as soon as one ends, we're going right back into another launch. Do it again. So that is what we've done 4 times, which was, by the 4th, I was pretty exhausted. So the first one, like I mentioned, was pretty much a warm audience. I don't think I used Facebook ads at all. Maybe I did a little bit, and I have a bit of experience in Facebook ads, but not a ton, especially then. I really hadn't done a lot. But I've been learning that skill a lot over the course of the last 6 months. So by the second launch, it was pretty much a cold audience. But we increased the price. So we went for very low the very first time. It was only £49. And then we increased that to £97 for the second one, which seemed really scary. I mean, I thought, oh my gosh, is anyone going to buy? And that was just as successful, even though it was a cold audience, that we brought in, we had a really good group in our challenge and they were really excited. And the price seemed to be a really nice price for a lot of them. And still it was the middle of the lockdown. So they were all really, excited about continuing their fitness and that sort of thing. And then we did a third launch in the middle of the summer, which was probably the most challenging one for a number of reasons, but also cold audience. We'd increased the price to $147, which I think I wasn't quite comfortable with yet as well. And I just hadn't honed in on my messaging. So I think it was just, wasn't quite sure I was comfortable with it, trying to launch too many things at once. We were testing like a VIP and then a nutrition course and all these other things. And it just felt really disorganized and messy. And at the end of the day, we ended up probably doing the same amount of revenue as we did with our first launch, but I think we only ended up with about 25 women in the program. But I was happy with that because at least it was okay. And then, with this final launch that we just finished not long ago, a couple of weeks ago, that was probably the strongest launch we've had. We had, I think, 1,200 women in the challenge, which was extraordinary. They were so involved. They were so excited. We had chats every night and giveaways. And then when we did the actual launch, women within the first 24 hours or so, we had, I think it was 19 women sign up right away. And it would just, it just really solidified, the messaging was there and the pricing, even though we went up to 157, it just still felt right. We, just changed a few things and we scaled it back so it wasn't overly complicated. And it was just like, this is what you're getting. Here's a really good payment plan, like a month-by-month payment plan. So the cost isn't too much every month if you want that. And we just felt like we could really talk confidently about it. So people felt they knew what they're getting and we felt really confident in what they're getting because we've done it 4 times. So we knew that this is going to give you results and we know what we're offering something that is really beneficial. So I feel very strong about it all. And I think you could tell when we were doing that launch as well. And and I walked away pretty not stressed. I was really happy with that launch generally. So yeah, it was good.
That's being the sort of mentor on the sidelines watching these launches. I mean, my heart was going actually on that third launch. That was like every challenge, every problem, if you like, was thrown your way. And like it was a tougher launch for you. You were testing out lots of different things, but I think it's important for people to realize that that's what happens in business. You need to test these things. The ideas you had were great, but just some of them just didn't work. We changed cart open day, cart open period, all that kind of stuff. And these tiny tweaks can make such huge differences in an online launch. Where would you say, what was the biggest difference? Because I talk about this all the time, in your energy. So the energy that you had going into the third launch and then the energy that you had going into this fourth launch, which was highly successful. I mean, you're welcome to share, the figures of the fourth launch, but what was the energy difference for you?
Oh, night and day, honestly. And yes, it was going into the third launch, I felt really disorganized. Like I mentioned, I had a VA who I just hired, a virtual assistant, and she went on vacation like that same week and all these other things were happening. I was also on vacation, which was not a smart idea. So I was trying to have a vacation with my family and trying to launch at the same time. And that was terrible. So that was the third launch. And I just felt really stressed. I felt overwhelmed and I felt like I was like just worried the whole time. Like, is anyone going to buy this? What am I doing? Oh my gosh, I feel, just all these nervous kind of anxiety feelings were coming up. And then this fourth launch, my virtual assistant she's great and she was up to speed. We knew exactly what to do. I created a content calendar, which was a lifesaver. I knew exactly what to post on what days and what to share and what emails were going out. And that really saved me as well. And then she was just there to support me the entire time. There was no vacation on either side, which was helpful. And I just felt like I could have some more freedom. I felt like my brain was a little more clear, so I could actually plan what I was talking about in our live chats. I could comment easier. I just felt like things were just flowing nicer. And it was just a very different feeling. I didn't feel like exhausted and drained, and I was able to sleep, which helped a lot. And often in launches, I felt like I was waking up at 4 a.m. and really stressed. And this time it wasn't like that at all. And it showed, and the women were so excited about it. And even when we sent a survey email afterwards, it wasn't that, women were like, oh, it's way overpriced, which was sort of what the feedback was in the third launch. This time it was more just, the timing's not right for me, but I would have loved to join, and I wish I can, or I'm on the wait list for next time. It's just not right now. And it just seemed like it was a very different feel. And we ended up with over 50 joining this time as well, and almost a 10,000 US launch. I always kind of quote in US dollars, but it was almost, a 5-figure launch, really close. So we were really, really pleased with that. It's our best launch yet.
Amazing.
So.
And, if you think back to when you started this, did you think that in your first year and a year with a pandemic that you'd be having like, I've had pretty much a 5-figure launch?
I don't think so. I mean, what's crazy is I think about all the work we went into our live classes, and I mean, I don't know the exact comparison, but I would say in a year and a bit from, when we had our live classes, we started in, I think, February of 2019, but we have made, within like 2 months, we had like doubled the amount that we made in profit in that entire year. I mean, we were not making much at all when we were doing live classes. And I just don't think I really understood how, obviously financial is great, but how much you can actually make doing online compared to like live studio classes or live kind of one-to-one sessions. It's so different. Plus, you're not running around the city, you don't have teachers to pay, you don't have overhead. I mean, it's amazing. And whether you're complementing your regular in-person, whatever that is, with an online, but I definitely think online is such a nice tool to add to your toolbox. It's kind of a no-brainer. I think everyone should have it, because now that I see the benefits, and I mean, I just love it. I love it so much.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because, profit is so important, and so many people go into business doing what they love, but I'm just like, you're not making any money. So we need to look at that. So it is really interesting when you look at the online space, and you hear a lot of things that, because I know we both use Kajabi, and it's like, well, that's an expensive platform. It's like, you'd pay what you get, you pay for a Kajabi, maybe even if it's just a couple of grand for a year. That might be your cost of a studio hire for a few months. It's just like, and having your teachers and things like that. Actually, when you look at taking your business online, if you're consistent and take action exactly how you have done, it can be highly profitable. And as you said, you can impact people all around the world, because I know it's not just the UK that are joining your programs.
Not at all. Yeah, no, we specifically targeted different regions as well, especially in the third launch. Also, I went a bit crazy with that. But in this last launch, we always target Canada and the US, because I'm Canadian. So Canada and the US and the UK are the kind of markets, just to keep the time zones a little bit easier to manage. But we definitely get a lot of Americans and Canadians in our program, and it's great. I mean, the women love it as well, because then they get to meet each other, and they know they're kind of in an international group, and it's really nice because everyone is experiencing the same challenges right now. So it's great.
Absolutely. And this, I don't think we actually mentioned at the very beginning, this is all being done while you have 2 kids, a husband, and a full-time job.
Yes. Yes.
So that's crazy. And I know a lot of the times we'd have calls, especially at the beginning, it's not, you're not available during the day. A lot of this is being worked around the kids, and like I said, your full-time job, you've got a 9 to 5 as well. So that is something I really want people to take away. They might be listening going, oh, well, it's all right for her because she's got all this time. Nope. Camilla has so little time.
No, I have a full-time job. Yes. And
it's busy. Like life is hectic.
Life, especially during a pandemic when the kids were home. So, which is now, I don't even know actually how we did it, because I had 2 kids at home. Keziah had her 2 kids at home, and we still were able to do all those lunches. And I was still working my full-time job while I was trying to do that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of nights. I'm not going to lie. I usually do a lot of work after we put the kids to bed at 7. But I love it. I don't think of it as work. So, instead of watching a Netflix, if I have something we need to do, I'm happy to, write a blog post or whatever it is that we're doing that night, or plan the structure of the launch. I mean, I just love it so much that I don't think of it as work and a task that I have to get done necessarily. And I also see the benefit of it. I see, if I'm doing this, you can see the growth. So it's kind of exciting. Like, okay, if I do this, then, we can launch and yeah, but I think for me, I work in a very organized way. I always have to have a structure in place, and I always like to know what's coming up. So I think this, Heather, but I always like to think about, okay, when's our next launch next year? Okay, what are those dates? Because I always have to then work back and start planning from there. Okay, that only gives me 2 months to start thinking about how to generate awareness and how to do this, and then start my pre-launch and then that. So I'm always thinking ahead. And I think that has to do with my day job, because I've always worked for the Olympics, and we always work, thinking about the Olympics 7 years ahead. So it's always the way that I've been kind of taught to think since the minute I started working. So I think that's almost a benefit in a way, because I'm very good at creating structured plans and strategies, and then thinking about the bigger picture. And then I would say my virtual assistant is literally the other reason we've done so much, especially this last launch. And even right now, because as you mentioned, we have another program that we've also launched. And now that I've sort of brought her up to speed. I've used video Loom to record what I've done, and then she can literally just then copy and do it. But we're at a place now where I can say, can you just get the entire Facebook schedule all the posts in the Facebook group, and I'll just go in and edit anything you think I need to, but just do it all. You have creative reign. You can do whatever you want creatively, just kind of follow what we've been doing, and it's done. And I just don't have to worry about that. And that is so great because those little tasks take so much time. Yeah.
Definitely. That's it. You can launch on your own, you and Kez did the first launch by yourselves, but having a VA, once you've tested it out and you've done your beta and you know what you're doing, that is when you absolutely do need a VA. Because you're right, it's the things like the Facebook posts and all the little things and like your emails and all that kind of stuff. It just takes so much time. But I think it's really important for people to hear that this is what it takes. If you want to have, there's a lot of stuff like, business is simple and easy, and it's like, yeah, but you do also, this is a real life about setting up a business. If you want to have a successful, thriving business, it is about planning ahead. It is about knowing when your next launch is going to be. Yes, we can go with the flow, and yes, we can tweak things as you go, but for many people listening to this, especially if there's mums listening to this thinking they want to start a business, it is going to be a few evenings. It's kids don't understand that you need quiet, that you need to be working. It's like, nope, not going to happen. So I think the growth is amazing, and this is just on one program. So Stronger After Baby was like the signature program that you launched, which you're really well known for now. But there is more. There's so much more, which is why I'm so excited to have you on here, because I think what I've seen as your mentor going through this is you're just like, you have so many amazing ideas. What's been lovely about working with you, you're like, right, so which bit should we do next? And I'm like, this. And you're like, okay, great, done it. And then the next call, you're like, stop, I've had an idea.
Yeah, always.
There's something else. So tell us a little bit about the new program that you're launching.
Yeah, so I think it was you, Heather, who was, thinking we need something else. Like we have all these women, and we never really expected that once they finished the 8 weeks, they were going to say, hey, what comes next? I mean, I'm feeling stronger. What do we do now? And we were kind of going, oh, I don't know. I never really thought about that. So we came up with FEM method, which we had already created this class, and we were already launching it in really great places like the Wing in London, which is a really cool women's networking club. We were supposed to be having this class there regularly. We had a contract with them, but lockdown happened. So we had the structure of the class. We knew we wanted something that was a low impact, high intensity interval training, so HIIT type workout combined with some bar and Pilates. So it was like a combination, because we knew that combination was really great for people, but not everyone wants to just do a full HIIT class. It's kind of nice to have a bit of both. So we created this, and it was such a success at the Wing. We obviously had this contract in place. So then lockdown happened. We thought, okay, well, we've got this. We don't know what we're going to do with it. So then after our first Stronger After Baby, we thought, well, we can do a beta program with FEM method and create another 8-week program, but it's not for postnatal. It's a combination of this HIIT type class we talked about, and then just more of a sculpt Pilates bar type class, but it's actually hard. But over the course of the 8 weeks, you get new workouts, and it becomes more and more and more challenging. So the goal by the end of the 8 weeks, you are doing really challenging workouts, but you've worked up to it. We're not throwing you in the deep end. And you have the accountability, you have the groups, you have expert chats, all the things that you had in Stronger After Baby, but it's not for postnatal women. So it's more challenging. And yeah, and it was,
I mean, I love it. I went through it the first time you launched it and I'm like, yes, this is incredible. I absolutely love Fem Method. And what I think is really, again, something for everyone to sort of pick up on is, you know, we have this amazing program, Stronger After Baby, but the great thing is because it works so well, you do get to that point where you're like, okay, well, I'm feeling stronger, and what is next? And so often that's not what we think about when we start a business. We're just focused on that one thing. But actually, by creating Fem Method, you've now given them the next stepping stone to, you know, getting their figure back and feeling even stronger and fitter. And it's so nice to have that option because, you know, these people are already in your tribe. They're already looking to you for the next step, and you've gone and created it. So how is that going to be, you know, how are you planning on launching that next year? Are you planning on doing the same thing?
We aren't sure. We're doing another program. We're doing it right now. We're just doing a very easy launch and just selling to the women that are already in Stronger After Baby or our mailing list. And we're making a very casual launch right now and not doing a challenge. But we will do the 8 weeks again. And then come January, we think we might structure it slightly different so that it's either going to be more of a membership, or it'll be 3 months, or it'll be slightly different, but we're not 100% sure what it's going to look like. We know that there was such a demand for us to do it right now that we just thought, okay, let's just launch it and have other women test it out. But I should mention that Fem Method was a beta, so we actually hadn't filmed the videos, and that is exactly what we should have done with Stronger After Baby. But like I said at the beginning, we were too nervous to do. We didn't know what to do, and this time we did it the way that we probably should have. So we were able to film the videos. They get dropped every 2 weeks. They get new videos, so we were able to film them the weeks before and drop them in. So we just kind of filmed them as we went. We didn't feel like we had to film all the videos beforehand, which was a really nice way to do it. And we tweaked the program as we went, and all the women who joined us knew that we were going to be doing that, and they were really excited about being part of that and telling us what we should do and what we should add. And that was a really fun experience. It was nice for everyone. No one felt this like pressure that it should be perfect. And now we're just tweaking some of the videos and kind of doing it again, but it's all sort of there. We just have to add a few things and share it. So it's really nice. And then we're just sort of figuring out what that's going to look like in January. But I know there's a lot of demand already, which is quite nice.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's such an important point you just raised about going into it, and especially like your experience with Stronger After Baby. Even before lockdown, you're like, we have to have the professional videos, we have to have everything right, and we have to, you know, have the right microphones and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, when I went through Fem Method, I know we still had that conversation. You're like, right, so now I need a videographer. And I'm like, no, you're good. Like the videos are perfect. You know, and I think from what you said, no one had the feedback of, well, it would have been greater if you had a professional video.
No, yeah. And actually, it's funny because even in our Stronger After Baby, the professional ones, we get comments saying, we kind of wish that you didn't have the zoomed up shots. It would have been better if they were all, you know, one shot and not the two cameras, because we can't always see what you're doing. And I don't know if they really like them that much more, to be honest. I mean, we thought we had to have, you know, it look perfect, but actually we didn't even know what our clients wanted. So I'm sure we would have filmed something a little bit different now if we were to do it. And down the line, we may film Fem Method professionally and have someone who could come regularly and film us. But for right now, we just used our phone, and we didn't even have microphones. We just used our phone, and it was fine. It was totally fine.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And that's the great thing about the online space, you know, especially if you are doing a beta, like a beta launch, and you're telling people like we're testing it out. People have that expectation of like, okay, cool, you know, this is how it's going to be. But as long as people are getting the results, that's the key thing. And that's what you do deliver through your programs, and everything you do is about delivering the results. And like I said, we think as entrepreneurs sometimes, especially new into the online space, that everything has to be just so, and it has to be perfect and on the best platform and all this stuff. People just want results. They really don't care whether you filmed on your phone or if you had a professional crew in. And like you said, in time, once Fem Method is established as much as Stronger After Baby, you can absolutely get them professionally filmed. But I think it's really important lesson for everyone to really grasp that you don't have to have it all perfect before you start. At all.
Yes, 100%. And I think we didn't realize that. We invested a lot in those videos, and I don't regret it because it forced us to do it, but we didn't need it. We definitely didn't need it.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
So looking back over 2020 and everything you've achieved, because it does, even just speaking to you now, I'm like, my God, it's only been 1 year, less than 1 year.
Yeah, since March, so not even really. It's really
It's
crazy.
nuts.
I know.
What would you say to sort of share with people listening to this who maybe are thinking about taking their business online, or perhaps in your field as well, with the fitness industry, where there's a lot of, you hear people say, oh, it's saturated, there's no room for anything new. What are the lessons you've learned this year that you would love for people to really sort of grasp onto?
I think there's definitely space. There's definitely room. I'm in the health and fitness industry, and that is so saturated. And that was one of our concerns too. I mean, we were comparing ourselves to all these apps, and everyone pays very little. You can get free workouts on YouTube, but you know what? If you have the right messaging, if you have a program, like you said, gets results, and you know who you're targeting, you're able to actually speak to those people, there is definitely space, because people are, if they have a pain or they have an issue, then they're going to need your product. And I think that's something that I had heard a million times. And it's funny I'm even saying it now, but it is very true. There is space for everything, if there is that pain point in the market. And that's what you have to really look for when you create your program. I think making sure that you don't create everything in advance, kind of, I mean, we were very lucky, but we had already done live classes. So I think we already knew what women were looking for, and we were in the position ourselves. So I think it helped. So we knew kind of what would work. But if you were starting from scratch and you've never done it, definitely do a sort of beta launch and get people to pay very minimal amount. Make sure they do invest something, because that will make them do it. Otherwise, they probably won't do the program. But have them pay something and then just build it with them. And I think that is definitely the best way. So you want to get those testimonials. That has been key for us as well. Really make sure after every program that you do, get video testimonials, get written testimonials. People are really willing to do it. They love doing it. If they feel like they've got results, they're so happy to provide that for you, because they know they're helping your business, and they are just really proud of what they've been able to accomplish themselves. Everyone loves talking about themselves. So make sure you gather those and use them for your next launches, because that will really help. And just don't be afraid. I think that's it. If you need support, find someone. Heather, you were amazing for us, because you really, having your calls and having everything, it forced me to kind of okay, I need to get ready for Heather, because I need to do all this. And that really helps me. I mean, I need to know I have a structure in place, and I need to know that I have a deadline. And if I was like, okay, I've achieved all this by the time we have our next call, then okay, good. And someone to ask questions, because I definitely am someone who just likes to just have a quick minute. Like, I just need to brainstorm for a second, because otherwise it's all in my head. And if you're like that, find someone you can trust who's done it before, who can help you, because that's life-changing, game-changing. Otherwise you might just keep spinning your wheels. And just go for it. It's, you're not going to lose anything by just getting out there. If anything, you'll gain a ton, you'll learn a ton, and, you may pivot and change, but it's worth testing it. You just never know. And then don't give up. If you have a weird launch like I did, it's not the end. You just do it again, and it could end up being so much better the next time. You learn so much every time.
Yeah, that's absolutely everything you say on that. And I think what you said then about, sometimes if you don't have someone to bounce an idea off, that can be one of the biggest challenges, I think, when you're a solo entrepreneur, I know you've got Keziah as well, but when you are brainstorming all these things by yourself, you're just like, you just end up going around in circles. So
yes,
it's really important to surround yourself with the right people who have either done it before, or at least are going to give you that honest listening space to kind of go, actually, have you considered this way, or you change your perspective, and that kind of thing. So I think it's really, really important, for sure.
Definitely. It was key. I think I would have especially pricing, I would have spun my wheels for like months if I hadn't brainstormed. But because you just get out of your head, you get someone else's opinion, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. It just helps.
And I think the other thing I would just, as we sort of wrap this conversation up, is obviously watching this from the outset, like, so much pride, like, it's insane. Like, I've just loved watching you from the very start all the way through to now. And 2021 is going to be insane for you. I know it. What do you think have been the mindset shifts? Because that is you're very organized, as you said, you've always had that kind of way of working where you sort of, set dates and plan backwards and that kind of thing. But where do you think you've changed in your perspective, the way you think and view business, and how you're showing up now compared to, you know, at the beginning?
There's a few different ones. I would say money was one initially, where I was really hesitant to like spend money to invest in my business. And I felt, you know, I was like, ooh, I don't know. Should we buy that? Should we do that? I'm not sure. Whereas now I'm much more, I guess not, I wouldn't say I just throw money everywhere, but if it's something that I know is going to benefit the business, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that as an investment. Definitely. I understand that. And that is just a different feeling I have. I understand the benefit of investing in the business and how that can help the business grow. Like, for example, you know, a really great virtual assistant, and, you know, giving her more hours and paying her the right amount. And I feel like, you know, that helps a lot as well to make sure that we're investing in the business and that sort. And I think generally just the confidence has changed a lot. So I feel like at the beginning, and it probably comes with just experience, but I was so nervous going online and being in front of people and talking, and even some of the first chats we had in some of the groups that we did, or I did a lot of Instagram lives initially, and they were just bad, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. So it's just practice, and over time that has helped a lot. Now I feel so much more comfortable, but I also know I'm someone that needs a bit of a script. I work a lot better when I have an outline of what I want to talk about for each of our chats. So I've started to do that a lot more. And every time we have a chat, I've scripted out the general topics so that I don't just ramble and talk about nothing, you know, the whole time. But little things like that, I think it's this confidence, it's this ability to really know that we're going to be okay and that we just keep going. I think that has really helped a lot. Whereas I think before I wasn't certain about that. And now I'm just like, yeah, no, that we just launch the next thing and it's going to be fine. We're just going to just keep going. I think it comes with just having done it a few times now, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, I see it so often. You know, new clients will speak to me and go, oh, I launched and it didn't work. It's like, yeah, honey, you got to do it more than once. You know, and you've proved that, you know, I mean, your launches have all been successful, but you've kept going, you know, and you do, when you go through these things, you learn so much. So even, you know, for those people listening, they're like, oh no, I did launches and they were awful, or, you know, didn't work and I didn't get the results. You would have learned so much from that. And actually, if you just pick out a few lessons from each launch and then tweak those things, try it again, because that confidence, it's not something you just get, is it? It's definitely something that it grows with your experience, and that builds your resilience to like, oh, okay, my Facebook ads didn't work quite as well this time. Yeah. And you see it like as more like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why not, rather than like, the sky is falling, my Facebook ads didn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's an interesting one too, is that, you have to be curious, because if you just think about your Facebook ads, for example, there must be a reason for that. You're not targeting the right. So figure it out. Ask someone who knows a little bit more about that, and see if there's a way of targeting better, or, you know, trying to learn how to analyze the results a little bit better. And I feel like I'm always asking those questions, because I always want to know how to improve and how to do better every single time. And that has really helped, like something like my Facebook ads, because I've learned over time, okay, I can look at these analytics, I can targeting this, and it's helped a lot, and it's helped decrease, you know, those ad prices as well. It's been great, but I definitely think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So where can everyone find you? So all the lovely women listen to this, and so mums and women, because Femme Method is very much going to be up and running and available. So yes, where can we find you?
So my Mama Method is MAMMA, so it's with 2 M's. It's mamamethod.com, and that's our website. And you can find all about us and our different programs on there as well. So strongerafterbaby.co.uk is specifically if you want to learn about Stronger After Baby and that 8-week program we were mentioning. And that is going to be launched again in the new year at some point. We have to figure that out. And then femmethod.com is also our Femme Method. And there we are launching very soon for the end of the year, but then we'll launch again in January. And again, we'll have more information on that very soon as well, as to what that looks like in January. So we're figuring that out.
And where are you best found on social media?
So Instagram is where we only really focus. We have a Facebook page as well, but Instagram is where we hang out mostly. And that's Mama, MAMMA _ method. So you can find us on there as well. And yeah, we're always hanging out and doing free little videos and things like that.
Excellent. I will link all that up in the show notes. But what I would just say to everyone, if you have found value in this, please do reach out to Camilla. She's amazing. And we haven't even touched on the next venture that she's going to be launching, but maybe we'll bring you back on another episode to talk about that and the progression of everything you're doing, because this is what's so beautiful about taking your business, just starting a business full stop. It opens your mind to all these other things. And, as I said, in 2021, there's potentially going to be a whole other venture alongside Fem Method and Stronger After Baby, which is just beyond exciting. So, there's so much opportunity, there's so much scope, even in the craziest year ever. Yeah.
And it's right now, this is where you should be. You should be online, because it really is. We don't know how long. I mean, maybe there will be a vaccine, but still, maybe for us specifically, the gym world has changed for a long time. Who knows if people will go back to boutique fitness workouts? I mean, I don't know, but this seems a lot more stable right now, and people are changing habits and online a lot more, no matter what industry you're in. So yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. And that's a really interesting thing as well. It's almost a cultural shift. We've got so used to, even like my parents' generation are like, oh, we're going to Zoom call. I'm like, holy moly, I never knew those words. Everyone was like, oh, have you heard of this thing called Zoom? And us online entrepreneurs are like, yeah. And, it's changed so much. And like you said, it's affected every single industry.
Yes.
So, I do think I love the fact that I can access incredible workouts and actually have the accountability, because that's what you need.
Yeah.
That's what you provide in your programs, is that extra accountability, because people might be listening and go, oh, well, you could just do a YouTube video. Yeah, but then you just pause it, because no.
Exactly. And you may not do it tomorrow, and it gets a bit boring trying to search for that perfect workout. I've definitely hopped around like 3 trying to find one workout where it's
exactly. Spend 20 minutes finding a video and you're like, oh, I've run out of steam now.
Yes, no, exactly. And that's true. And I think that's it. Knowing kind of just having a plan in place is really helpful.
Yeah. And just, I know when I did the Fem Method, it's that accountability of knowing you're going to post in that group going, have you done the workout? And I'm like, oh, I don't want to say no. So I better.
I know. Exactly. I'm watching you.
Exactly. It has been such a pleasure having you on the podcast. As I said, there's probably going to be an episode 2 in 2021 when we look at all the other incredible things you're doing. But thank you so much for giving your time and sharing your story with us. It's been a really lovely conversation.
Oh, thank you for everything. It's been great.
Thank you for listening to the Focused and Fearless podcast. If you'd like to continue the conversation or have a question that you would like answered in an upcoming episode, head over to Instagram and connect with me at Heather Angel Coaching. If you enjoy this podcast, please share your thoughts in a review on iTunes. I truly value your feedback, and I take the time to read every single review. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you in the next episode.